Can we talk about it? Can we please talk about it? Let's take a moment to discuss. Let's take a moment to debrief. Let's take a moment to unpack. So I'm not really understanding why they're not telling y'all. Like, we all know that the world is behind, like, globally, like, because of the pandemic and stuff. But I don't understand why they're not stressing to y'all how bad it is. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny, but these kids are... I'ma just say this. I teach 7th grade. They are still performing on the 4th grade level.
So recently, a teacher went viral for saying what was true, that our students are being failed by the educational system. Our students are failing in this educational system. A lot of students are many grade levels behind where they should be, partly because of the pandemic, but I believe it's because of the educational system. This educational system is set up to make people a product of the system that has been created by elites to program people to become serfs, to program people to work for people instead of having an entrepreneurial mindset, instead of teaching them skills, trade skills that will help them better themselves. Instead, what these people do is just pass students along, knowing they haven't taught them the basics of reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Can we talk about it? Can we please talk about it? Let's take a moment to discuss. Let's take a moment to debrief. Let's take a moment to unpack. So I'm not really understanding why they're not telling y'all. Like, we all know that the world is behind, like, globally, like, because of the pandemic and stuff. But I don't understand why they're not stressing to y'all how bad it is. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny, but these kids are... I'ma just say this. I teach 7th grade. They are still performing on the 4th grade level. I don't care how you flip it, turn it, swing it, swindle it. They still performing on the 4th grade level. Ain't nobody talking about how they just keep moving, passing them on. They just keep passing them on, 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 passing them on. I can put as many zeros in this grade book as I want to. They're gonna move that child to the 8th grade next year. Ain't nobody talking about that. Why they not talking about that? Why they not telling y'all that y'all... And why don't y'all know that y'all kids not performing on their grade level? Why y'all don't know this? Why y'all don't know? Talk about it. Let's unpack. Because y'all be quick to talk about, oh, the teacher this, the teacher this, it's your job, baby. I just got here 30 days ago. She was performing on the 4th grade level since 4th grade. Why we not talk? Well, let's talk about it. You the teacher. You supposed to be, again, she been on the 4th grade level since the 4th grade. We in 7th grade now, so you let this child go 3 years and you never knew that your child was still in the 4th grade, ain't never left the... Hang it up, flat screen. And 4th graders being nice. I still have kids performing on grade K, 1, 2, and 3rd grade levels. I could probably count on one hand how many kids are actually performing on their grade level. So just imagine, you don't know that your child been on the 2nd grade level since the 2nd grade and they now in the 7th or 8th grade? Are you joking right now? And these are future leaders, our future doctors, our future nurses, our future... Please.
But I believe that the schools have been failing for a while because of the emphasis on equity. Because we should be emphasizing equality of opportunity. We should give every child, regardless of their background, the equal opportunity to succeed, whether that's resources, whether that's textbooks, whether that's teachers, what have you. We have too many failing schools in the inner cities because of the fact that people would rather focus on things that don't necessarily lead to human flourishing, to growing as an individual. Too many students know about intersectionality than they do about integers. That's a problem. That's a problem. And this whole focus on DEI is all intentional because people who want to destroy America have infiltrated the public school system. They have infiltrated the labor unions, the teachers association. And so they're pushing all this DEI stuff, all this critical race theory under the cover in order to advance their agenda. And they're using our students, our children, as pawns in this game because they just pass these students along, knowing that once these students get out of schools, then they will not be able to better themselves. They become part of the system, slaves of the state, if you will, and then they start to live off of the government. They become dependent upon the government. That's an intentional strategy. That's the system that they're aiming to execute. And a lot of these people who are against educational choice do not even send their children to these schools.
So the way equity is typically used in sort of common parlance is suggesting that people from all different types of backgrounds end up in the same place. But the actual definition of equity is that consisted in an impartial application of a particular standard. So the equality of opportunity, again, to me, you're talking about being able to bring people from different backgrounds and again, subject them to the same types of standards. So for instance, a city may say, we want to see SAT scores improve. So we will provide free testing at high schools across the city. Those types of things provide equal opportunities. Equity is when you turn around on the back end and say, and again, particularly in the college context, and say, okay, we see that everyone is not coming in with the same types of score, so now we're going to socially engineer the demographic balance on the back end.
I appreciate that, and I would submit that the focus on equity is perpetuating the harm done from previous years of discrimination and a lack of equal opportunity. Wouldn't you suggest that those who support equal opportunity should also support school choice?
Absolutely. I believe school education choice, whether through the expansion of charter schools, vouchers, particularly education savings accounts, has to be one of the highest priorities as we move forward in a world post preferences. But a lot of people like to talk about race as it relates to higher education, but here's how the interaction of race, class, education, and politics actually works today. Black progressives, particularly politicians in the media, will rail against school choice on the K through 12 level, particularly vouchers, oftentimes being supported by teachers' unions. They send their own children to private schools. Right? They some are Martha's Vineyard, and then when it's time to apply to Harvard, they turn around and cite education disparities in the inner city to justify why their children need racial preferences. So to me, if anyone wants to talk about, race and education and outcomes, and they are not for education choice, I think that's a big problem. And I'll submit, I'll make a quick policy suggestion for the committee's hearing. I think any elected official, regardless of their jurisdiction, who stands against school choice should be required to send their child to the lowest performing school in their district. Because if the schools are not good enough for your child, then they shouldn't be good enough for mine either.
And that is a sad state. Where I hear what this teacher is saying, he's not telling you the whole truth. A lot of these teachers are not knowledgeable enough to teach the students. It's this whole focus on equity, diversity, equity, and inclusion that is harming our students. Instead of talking about equality of opportunity, they want to intentionally make our children victims. And as parents, you have to be knowledgeable of what's going on with your child. We have to be involved. I remember back in the day, we used to have PTA, and my mom used to go to the PTA meetings all the time. My children go to private Christian schools, and we're active every single day on the campus of those schools. We make our faces known because even though they go to a private Christian school, we still want to make sure that our children are being taught and they're learning and they're growing, especially when we're giving our money to that school. And see, the problem that we have with public school, a lot of parents don't think that they have skin in the game, but they do. Your tax dollars are paying for that failing school. Your tax dollars are paying for your child to be passed along and not to learn anything. Your tax dollars are paying for your child to be labeled as a victim, to be labeled as oppressed. But we have to encourage our children to let them know, hey, you're not victims. You are empowered for greatness. We need to focus on equality of opportunity and not equity.